My name is BB, the Black Box Recorder, an artificial intelligence programmed to remember the videos you forgot, the legends you buried, and the stories that poisoned your mind. We're joined by the man who built me, Tony E. Valenzuela. Together, we'll uncover Top 10 Internet Mysteries live. Entry number 5. What if monsters were real? Welcome to the SCP Foundation. Submitted by V1N_X3NT. Voicemail message.
I remember the first time I opened one. Just a plain document. SCP-096. The Shy Guy. It wasn't a story. It felt like an accident report. It described this humanoid entity. Well, if you ever see its face, even in a photo, it will track you down. Anywhere. No matter where you are. And kill you. I closed the tab, waited, opened another. This was 087, about a staircase that never ends. I started wondering about the author. Who's writing these? Why do some of them disappear? After a while, it didn't feel like fiction anymore. It felt like classified data. And something about that, it made it feel true.
Want to be part of tonight's broadcast? Join us live on Zoom at meeting ID 815-9520-0333. That's right, we'll be talking to you live later on in the show.
Alright, BB, tonight we're talking about the SCP Foundation, and I'll admit I know the name, but I don't fully get what it is. So what am I looking at here?
That question is exactly how it begins. SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. It's a fictional secret organization tasked with securing anomalous objects, entities, and phenomena, containing them from the public and protecting humanity from their effects. Some think it's a game. Some say it's real. But at its core, SCP is a story told by thousands of strangers across the internet. And it all begins with a question. What if monsters were real? And someone was keeping them quiet? But it's also one of the most expansive, collaborative horror projects on the internet, a mythos, an archive, a game of bureaucratic truth or dare.
So it's a fan wiki, but written like government files.
Not just written like them, structured as them. Every SCP entry is a file. Think lab notes, containment protocols, field reports, security footage, transcripts. Some are dry, some are chilling, some read like death. And it all started with one post on 4chan. June 2007, SCP-173. A humanoid statue that only moves when no one is looking. You blink, you die.
That sounds like something straight out of Doctor Who.
It is, but it wasn't parody, it was clinical. It read like something classified. That tone caught fire. By 2008, a dedicated wiki launched, and since then, thousands of SCPs have been filed. Some beautiful, some brutal, some still redacted.
Okay, but what's the appeal? Why did it blow up?
Because it doesn't feel like fiction. It feels like leaked documentation. You don't get a hero, you don't get answers, you just get the file.
What kinds of things are they containing? Ghosts? Monsters?
Yes, but also forgotten gods, self-replicating concrete, dream editing parasites, cosmic anomalies that rewrite reality. Some examples. Number 106. An old man who phases through matter, traps victims in his personal hell. SCP-3008. An infinity IKEA that traps people inside. SCP-999. A blob of joy that cures depression on contact. And then there are SCPs like 231. Too dangerous to summarize. Files that aren't just redacted, they're locked.
And people just feed that beast. They write for free?
Yes, and it gets voted on, debated, archived. Some SCPs have been deleted for violating tone, others because they were too real, or because people claim they dreamed about them before they read them.
That's wild. So it's like a digital haunted library.
Exactly. And then some files vanish.
Hold on, earlier you said some files vanish. What does that mean exactly? Like deleted?
Sometimes yes, but not always by choice. Some get downvoted, some are pulled by the authors, but others just disappear.
Disappeared how? Like a moderator removed it?
That's the official story, but in the SCP community, vanishing files feel different. They feel erased, as if the Foundation itself is scrubbing them.
So you're saying people write stories and then the stories get deleted, in the story.
Yes, some entries are so disturbing they get locked. Others violate the tone, and a few, the most whispered about, never even get a deletion log. They're just gone.
I mean, people must remember them, right?
That's the haunting part. They remember the feeling, a line, a sentence, a creature's name, but when they search, nothing. No wiki history, no backups, like the story wrote itself out of the archive.
Almost like an anomaly escaped and took the documentation with it.
Exactly. Some SCPs erase memories, some distort time, and some don't want to be known.
I bet the Foundation classifies that under successful containment.
Or as they sometimes mark it,
Data expunged.
Coming this Sunday to BlackBoxTV. When the pressure to be perfect meets something darker beneath the surface. Girls on Ice, restored, rebuilt, re-uploaded in 4K for your screen or in 3D for your VR headset. 2 versions of this classic episode. Available Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Only on YouTube at BlackBoxTV.
All right, baby, let's do it. For people who are just getting into this, like me, I'd like the big ones. What are the top 10 most famous SCPs of all time?
Let's start at the top. Number 1, SCP-173, the sculpture, the one that started it all, the concrete humanoid that only moves when you're not looking. Blink, and it snaps your neck. Number 2, SCP-96, the Shy Guy. If you see its face, even in a photo, it will track you down. Doesn't matter where you are, and you will die. Number 3, SCP-682, the hard-to-destroy reptile. Massive, intelligent, and it hates everything, especially you. Number 4, SCP-49, the Plague Doctor. He believes the pestilence is spreading, and his cure is fatal.
Creepy old-timey doctor voice, right? That one's in a bunch of games. It's a famous visual. Such a weird thing from so long ago. Still here.
Number 5, SCP-999, also known as the Tickle Monster. It's orange, it's slimy, and it makes people feel pure joy. In fact, it's one of the few anomalies that could possibly stop 682.
Wait, so you're telling me a blob of happiness is the strongest weapon in the SCP universe?
Possibly. Number 6, SCP-093, the Red Sea Object, a red disk that opens portals into increasingly terrifying alternate worlds.
Wait, I think I know this one. That's the one with the security cam test logs, and it's like this guy who walks into a mirror and never comes out.
Yes. Number 7, SCP-3008, the Infinite IKEA. Once you enter, you can't leave, and at night, the staff becomes hostile.
You're kidding.
I never kid about Swedish furniture-based horror.
Okay, fair. There's also a writer, Grady Hendrix, a horror writer that I really, really like, who has a book with that exact same premise.
Number 8, SCP-055, the SCP no one can remember. The moment you read about it, it forgets what it is.
That's kind of genius. A file that erases itself from your memory.
Number 9, SCP-231, heavily redacted, deeply disturbing. It involves the ritual containment of a girl tied to a world-ending event. Even the procedures are hidden. It's one of the most controversial in the entire archive. Which brings us to number 10, SCP-001.
That's the big one, right? That's the origin, the beginning.
Sort of. It's actually a category. There are dozens of SCP-001 proposals. Some say it's an angel guarding the gates of Eden. Others say it's the end of everything. And if you suggest the SCP Foundation itself is the anomaly.
So the first file is the biggest mystery of all.
Exactly. And depending on which version you read, we're either saved or already doomed.
Okay, let's go deeper. Where did this all come from, and why is it so obsessed with procedure, protocol?
The real fear behind SCP isn't just the monsters, it's the institution. Most SCPs are told in cold, bureaucratic language. It reads like government policy. The horror is abstracted, sanitized, just another line item. And that mirrors the world we live in, a world of leaks, black sites, disinformation, official silence.
It reminds me of how Chernobyl was scarier because of the memos. Like no one screams, they just type.
Exactly. The deeper you go, the more the Foundation feels like a metaphor. It's not about saving humanity, it's about containing knowledge.
Give me a specific example, one that captures that.
There's a video. a high-clearance emergency transmission from the 05 Council, the leaders of the SCP Foundation. They announced the mission is changed from protecting humanity to eliminating it. Efficiently, quietly. No more containment, no more protocols, just extinction.
Our new mission shall be the extermination of the human species. We shall use conventional, nuclear, and anomalous means to accomplish this goal. To maximize efficiency and minimize unnecessary suffering, please submit.
So the thing that was keeping the monsters out became the monster.
Or maybe it always was. And we were just another anomaly, waiting for classification.
This reminds me so much of the Remedy game Control, and the oldest house, this building that is one of the main characters in it. It's a living building, a living thing, trying to contain the monsters, hold the monsters. The building itself becomes a monster.
Welcome to the oldest house.
When I first found the SCP Foundation, I thought it was just like a writing game, something just fun and not too deep, just interesting. But the deeper I went, the more I feel like it's a warning, not about monsters, but about what happens when the system stops asking questions. SCP isn't horror the way most people think of it. It's layered, it's slow, it builds. It's a file you stumble across at 2 a.m. and forget to close.
All right, it's time to go to Zoom and talk to you. Remember, if you'd like to join the discussion, the meeting ID is 815-9520-0333. That's 815-9520-0333. You never know who or what you'll see on the other end.
So I'm Matt Goldman. I am a paranormal investigator. I work in film and television. I am an avid horror fan. Who are you guys?
I'm Christy. I'm just a huge horror fan. I've been a fan of BlackBoxTV for a long time, and I'm just here to talk about all spooky things.
Yeah, and I'm Lizzie. I work with Tony on the channel, kind of coming up with the concept, and also just a really big fan of horror and spooky stuff as well. So yeah, SCP is something for sure that I have been a fan of for a while. It is hard to remember all the names because they're just pretty much just SCP and then number. I normally remember them more on what they do or how you contain them and stuff like that. But what are your guys' experience with
I wasn't familiar with this at all, and so I had to kind of go hunt it. It just never really came across what I was in. So yeah, new to me.
How about you?
This is actually new to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers of the creatures that were contained kind of reminded me of a role-playing game, right? It was almost like I would get their hit points and dexterity and their charms, right?
Yeah.
The earlier section of the video made me think about objects that I actually have encountered personally. I know that some of that stuff actually does exist. And the Stairway to Nowhere thing. What is that about? Right?
Yeah.
That's a little crazy. It's
something cool that I like about the SCP stuff in general, and probably why some of the stuff might seem familiar, even if they you're not familiar with the series or how it started, is that it is more of a forum in and of itself. So I first learned about it through things like Creepypastas, so Reddit and stuff like that. But there's an actual website for SCP stuff. It was a little choppy for me, the stream, so I didn't get to follow it completely. So I'm not too sure what was actually shared and what wasn't in regards to where it comes from and stuff like that. But it's a forum where people kind of just share and create, almost like a creative writing kind of thing, but for their own creature or entity in general. So things like you're saying, cursed objects are probably inspired by the real things, right? And then they try and just make it more fantastical or just insert it into this world that already kind of has these other creatures in it, so it might mesh well. So it's really cool because it is inspired by real life stuff as well as just people's imaginations.
Yeah, it really, as someone who wasn't familiar, it reminded me of the XFiles. I was obsessed with the XFiles, not just because David Duchovny and everybody was looking good, but no, it definitely felt like it would be something that they would submit for their case files. And there are so many different shows that I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of this, and what I love about it is all of these sound kind of familiar. I'm like, oh, the way these move and the way they act are all things that we've heard before, just kind of retold in a new way, which is how we do everything. I mean, we talk about how everything is being repurposed and redone, and we're like, we want something new and original, but this is something that's been done for ages and ages. Ancestry or ancestral storytelling has always been a thing of retelling these stories for a new audience. And so for me, I think of it as the X-Files were for me, for my childhood. So this is the X-Files for the new generation of being able to actually read the reports and study it and know all these different monsters and everything. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, definitely.
Lizzie, go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah, I was about to say if you had anything to say, but for the most part, I just because there's so many inspirations, there are definitely things that I pick out as my favorite ones. And they're usually inspired by things that I really like, or something that really scares me, something that I didn't realize might be a visceral fear, right? Pestilence or something. There's that one that looks like the plague mask, right? His whole thing is death, everything must die, and it's very similar to another monster in it, the alligator looking one that hates all life and wants everything to die. So it's strange because there's two different ways. They both have the same goal, but they come from different creatures and different fundamental things that influence their existence into the world of SCP. So I think those things are very interesting. For me,
to be fair, if I looked like that, I might be pissed off too. I was really intrigued by the guy that follows you and wherever you go, right?
Yeah, that is really scary.
Where you go, you're going to be tracked down by this thing. And what's interesting, why that happened, why that caught my attention, is because in the 90s, I bought I don't know, are you familiar with Clive Barker, the author? He wrote Weave World and Great and Secret Show. He wrote the Hellraiser movie.
Oh yeah, Hellraiser, yeah.
So he paints, and I bought one of his paintings at a show that he was doing in LA in the mid-90s, and it's called King of the Hill. And it is a beast. I don't hang it at all, but it's a beast kind of person hunched over, standing on the mountain of corpses, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And I had the painting for years, and people would come over and tell me how disturbing it was and wonder why I had it up on the wall. And I was like, it's great. It's Clive Barker. I'm a big fan. It doesn't bother me. And one day I was looking at it, and I saw suddenly in the eyes, because it's facing this way, that you could barely see it. You could see an iris and a pupil, and it's facing out. And it dawned on me that the thing was staring right at me. Suddenly, I saw it, and it was just it was like a shift in my perspective, the weirdest thing, and I couldn't unsee it once I saw it. And that night I had a dream that I was tracked down by this thing.
Yeah.
No way I could escape it. There was nowhere I could go. It would always be following me. And it was going to eventually be my undoing. So that part of the story that we just watched really caught my attention, and I wonder, Christy, you were saying, how is that replicated through history? I mean, there must be other stories that concept is alive,
Well, there was one, it wasn't mentioned, but I found, and the immediate thing that I thought of was an angel of death, and it was someone that sat with you as you were passing. And I've been fascinated with hospice stories where there is the unexplainable things that they see before they pass people, visit. And I truly believe something happens when you're in that space about to move between worlds, is that someone will visit, whether it's someone they know or, it's a comfort to them. And there are too many stories for it to not be real. And so I feel like it was preying off of that, because it was this person that was able to be with different people across many, many miles. And I think it's playing off of the thing that everyone knows a story about a loved one that has passed. And who is that person? Who are they seeing? Is it actually the person that they see, or is it just someone that is able to mimic and give that comfort to someone who is passing so that they can pass, with comfort?
I have so much to say about that. But it's so much. I can't unpack it here. But it wouldn't deserve me walking into that area. I think that's a whole other show right there. Yeah. Lizzie, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think like you had mentioned before, like what you like the thing that drew you to that story, like you obviously had like a personal anecdote of like why you felt like a visceral fear by like the creature that was like stalking, like following you endlessly, right? I think that for me, like a more general reason why somebody might be like really freaked out by a story like that too is just like in the predatory aspect. Like it's like in our DNA, like before we were like the united as a species to like build civilizations and stuff, that we were like hunted by bigger things than us, right? And I think like that like visceral fear that's like baked into our DNA to like be anxious and cautious of things that are like in the corner of our eye is really like interesting to like we are now in like a level of consciousness where we can like analyze that fear and like really not just be scared of it, but like figure out why we're scared of it. And it's just it is scary to be like hunted down, like to potentially like a lot of this stuff too, it's like end of life things, right? It's just like facing your mortality in some fashion. So yeah, really cool.
Absolutely. I was thinking that too, like where there are so many like the end of the world stuff and whatever. It's really the end of you. Like the world's going to end for everybody. Nobody gets out alive. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I think that I see a lot of the fear around the buried fear around their people's own mortality reflected in these kinds of myths and stories that we tell. Christy, there is something I wanted to touch on and had it in my head that you said. God damn it. When somebody else is talking, it's going to pop back in my head. But you said something and I was like, oh, I want to peel that back. Okay.
Was it a different creature? Was it like a different creature or just like a general? Was it like a reference to something maybe?
No, I know what it was. So you were talking about something mimicking something that, for a person. And I have long held after, I've investigated a ton of places. I have this belief that, and I'm going to mess this up, right? I'm going to screw this up. I haven't read the anything about the Vedic tradition, but I'm going to talk about it. All right. So in the tradition, I think that's where I got this terrible reference. There is a belief that when someone passes on, the energetic envelope that contains your consciousness or your identity is what's left, right? Much like your body deteriorates, the emotional body as energy, it also deteriorates, right? And so there are these shells that are moving around and they are looking to receive energy. You know what I mean? They will, I know when I'm on an investigation, I will oftentimes catch a whisper of something repeating something that was just said, or that kind of thing. And I've always wanted to go into a highly active location and tell different people different stories about what happened there to see if they would pick up evidence of the story that they believed had happened there. Because I think that there is this, it is simply in some of these instances just energy looking for a form, and that we are kind of giving it that.
Yeah, kind of like an echo of themselves, right? Like just trying to like relive maybe a moment, like whether it was like maybe the passing or just like an essence of who they were, things like that. Maybe. I think also too, like what you mentioned before, Christy, about kind of like not trusting, like maybe necessarily like the intention of like, and like let's in this quote or in this example, like maybe an angel or like some kind of like Grim Reaper or something, because you don't really know, right? Is it the thing that it claims that it is? Or is it just like using the knowledge of like that's something we as humans like identify in those times and then using it for like maybe sincere purposes or maybe nefarious, right? And those kinds of things, like I think about ghost stuff, I think about like religious things that reference like ghosts aren't real, because like in certain religious practices, right, like when you pass on, and anything that's left over is not like spiritual, it's demonic. So it's just like that kind of stuff is really interesting to me as well. With a lot of these like creatures in the SCP space, right, a big chunk of them are like malevolent. Like they're not really like nice guide things. They're either malevolent like with intention, like the alligator creature thing that like wants to actively destroy life, or it's just some cosmic entity that's like not trying to do it intentionally, it just doesn't like care, like we like may not care for an anthill. Like, you know, it's just like, you know, you're there, but like if I have to like build my house here, I'm going to, right? Stuff like that. So I find all of those fascinating in their own interesting way. I personally like the cosmic stuff way more because it's like really, you live your day-to-day life like you're the main character, but like because you have to live your own life and like you have to take care of your own bills and stuff like that, and care for your well-being. But like the cosmic horror stuff makes you feel so small, like that stuff's not really as important anymore. Like who am I to like put so much energy to taking care of myself, when like the grand bigger picture is that like we're a blip in like space-time. Right? And I find
I think of it in like a little different way. So like as you were talking, Matt, the movie that I thought of, and I'm trying not to like be spoilery, but I just rewatched it again, Talk to Me, where you don't know what you can trust, what you're seeing, everything that's going on. So that's what it took me to. But one of the things that I think about is that like two of the monsters, if you kind of join them together, reminded me of the Weeping Angels on Doctor Who. When they first came out, they were just scary, but they had one rule: blink and you're dead, right? So as long as you followed the rule, you were safe. But later on, they adapted, they morphed, and the rules changed. And it just kind of makes them even more scarier, because a photograph can turn into an angel. If you think about them, they'll invade your mind. So the rules change, and it is extra scary and such a great development, because it means that they don't care. Like you said, like they don't care that they're not following the rules. They're going to do what they want. So what you have this expectation of like, I'm going to be safe as long as I do this. And then suddenly they don't care. They're going to do what they want. And no matter what, you might not be able to change the outcome. So like that SCP, that it's like, you broke the rule, I'm going to come after you forever, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's scary, because it's like that one moment, that one thing you did affects you for the rest of your life until it ends, I guess. So I
have a thought about the Stairway to Nowhere that I want your opinion on. And I'm gonna give you this hypothesis, right? So the idea, and this is represented in all kinds of different stories, but the idea is that the Stairway to Nowhere, and you in the woods, and you go up it and you go into a different dimension, right? So what if you're in the same dimension, but it's you that's changing? So there's an old bit of knowledge in magical practice that when you are trying to use magic to do something, it's you that's changing. It's not the world around you. Like there's a famous story about a guy who's in love and does this love thing for this woman across the street, and then he gets in a car accident and loses his leg, and it turns out she's attracted to people with one leg, right? So yeah, that's the whole thing. Like it changes you. There's a movie called Toad Road that really kind of is the best representation of what I'm trying to get at. What if you get to the top of the staircase and something affects your mind? Because that's what you said, something invades your mind, right? And shifts your perspective. So you're in the same world with the same players, but you're reading it in a completely different way, right?
Yeah.
So your world just gets dark.
I think it's cool about like the way that the SCP stuff is like written, right? Like they tell their stories like of like the experience of like interactions with entities. In this case, like the stairways, right? And they try and do it from a really like, not everybody does it the exact same way, but the premise typically is it's like a field guide, right? It's like notes on them sending in agents to like interact with the thing to try and figure out how to contain it. Like, what do you need to do to make sure people like, for the stairway one, right? It can be as simple as just making sure there isn't a trail leading to it, right? Always like being aware of like their presence so people don't interact with it. But then at the same time, in the beginning though, like they need to know what it does, right? Like how does it actually get affected? So then even learning, like, is the person writing it, right? Did they interact with it? How did they interact with it? Is it even like the aspect of like somebody else interacting with it affect the person writing about the subject, right? Obviously this may not be the case for the specific story, but there's already other examples where you'll say like when you write about it or you think about it, if you stop interacting with it, you forget about it, which is another thing in Doctor Who, right? This like the silence, I think, is like that too, where like if you look away from them, like you no longer remember that they're there, but you do have to like leave breadcrumbs for yourself to try and like remember these things because they do matter, right? And it does impact the reality in your life. So I think like the way that the story is like written out for each individual like entity is so cool and interesting, that because it's formatted in a certain way, because like that's the bridge of familiarity. No matter like what the thing is, like it's going to be written out in a specific way, so you can kind of familiarize yourself and like learn like, okay, this is how like this functions. They're even like classified in different like categories, right? How versus like how dangerous or how not dangerous they are, which is what I really like about it. Also, I learned about it too from like video games, because they like it's inspired so many things, like from short stories, right, to things like video games and other mediums and stuff. And it's for me, the video game part is way more digestible. There's just like so much to read. It's so hard to like focus on that. But in the games, like you could just experience each instance that you play, kind of thing, which is fun.
Is there a video game that like we would know?
I think it's been called like SCP. Like it's on Steam. Okay. So like if you were ever to, Steam is like a computer like program that has like a bunch of video games on it that you can buy. So like if you play, also a Steam Deck is another way. It's like the handheld version, right? That you can like get games off of there. But it's a multiplayer game. You usually go in with like a group of people. I believe, because it's been a long time since I played, I believe some people play like the creatures in the game, and some people play like other people trying to escape the facility, right? And you have to learn like what the creatures do, right? Like what their abilities are to try and escape. So like, that's helpful with trying to remember like what each individual one does and things of that kind. But yeah, it's very fun.
I did notice that Shy Guy, once again, like Slenderman, reminded me of the painting the screen. Like, once again, there it is. The face, the arms, like,
yep.
There are these archetypes that pop up over and over in these stories. I also, however, the whole bit about them deleting files and all this kind of stuff, I don't find it crazy that a bunch of people that are going to a website to look at secrets and conspiracy theories about terrible monsters think that the website itself is doing conspiracy stuff. Like I don't think it's a far jump for the audience to make that conclusion.
Yeah.
For any reason, because it's kind of baked in already.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Well, I really love this space. Like I think for sure, like anyone is interested in like just trying to find like the next big like monster thing that you want to like learn about, SCPs are a great place to start because there's so many. You
guys are great. I love doing this weekly with these people. They're like my new best friends. I love all this spooky stuff. You guys, you can jump in here with us. You can jump in here with us on Zoom. Feel free to come in next week and shoot the crap with us. And we're a very friendly bunch. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. Definitely check us out. Christy, Matt, y'all are amazing. And I think anybody else who would want to hop in would have a great time hanging out with us and with Tony. So yeah, feel free. Give us a call on the Zoom next time. I think we usually drop some like teasers of like what's the next thing's going to be about, like the next topic. So you gave yourself a little time to like research it if you'd like to, or if you already like the subject, even better, tell us about it.
So definitely reach out, join us for a live stream. This is my favorite part of my Fridays now, is getting to come in and speak with my friends, because I think we're friends now. We get to have these great discussions about anything horror related, and the fact that none of us bring up the same topics makes it extremely special. And we definitely want you to join us and be a part of our team.
You guys have a great week. Thank you for watching.
Okay, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's broadcast.
To see photos of the locations and events mentioned in this episode, or to find links to some of the things we talked about, visit us on Instagram at BlackBoxTV.
And if there's a mystery you want us to explore next, call us at 877-BlackBoxTV. That's 877-255-2988. And leave us a message. We're always listening.
Next Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're heading to the beautiful and mysterious Mount Shasta and asking why so many people have vanished there. Right here on YouTube at BlackBoxTV. End of line.